Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this digital education session. Today, we're going to talk about media, how to share photos and news and all the information of what's happening in your clubs. And also, we're going to talk about how to use Google Drive. And I'm also throwing in a bonus session at the end because I got asked this morning by someone if I could please show you how to create a Google Meet event, which runs just like a Zoom conference call, which you can use through your club accounts. So we're going to have a really busy session. Just for those people that are online, as I just said to you before, if you have a question that you want to ask during the session, go down to the bottom and click to the chat box and write your question in the chat box, and I'll come back and answer those at the end. So the first part of today's session, we're going to look at media. And this is one of the things that we find really hard is you guys are doing amazing activities out in your clubs, and you're writing really beautiful newsletters, which we do enjoy reading. However, we want to be able to showcase what we do out to the wider community. Our website and our social media channels are not just for us as Inner Wheel members, but they're also for us to be our window to the world. It's our opportunity to show the public what we're doing and to help us to attract new members and people that might be interested in supporting us or even joining us in the future. So we're busy doing some developments behind the scenes on the website. And one of the things we are doing is we're really conscious of wanting to increase the number of news articles that we can share of activities that are happening around the country. And B, we're actually creating for every single club in the country an independent website. They their own web page, and on it we're going through at the moment through your newsletters that you've sent in to us, and we're cutting and pasting from them some photos that you have sent in. Now, clubs that don't send newsletters, unfortunately, we can't self-populate any photos for you at the moment. So what we're trying to do, I'm going to show you shortly what it is that we're building, so that I'm hoping that there's going to be someone on this call that's from most of the clubs in the country. And for those that aren't, we're going to send a link of this video to every club through the club accounts so that you can have a look and see what it is that we're trying to achieve before we send out an email that's going at the end of the week to every club. And in that email, we're going to be sending their personal link to your club page, and on it you're going to see what photos we have managed to get and the information that we have managed to gather from your club histories and from the service records that you filled in last year. But as far as media is concerned, I want to show you now what these pages look like. And the big point of the exercise is for you to see the quality of the images, because what we have had to do is to take the photos out of the newsletters that you have had in the past that you've sent in to us. So we're cutting and pasting an image off a PDF file, which doesn't make for a very high quality, high resolution image. What I'm showing you now is what the page is going to look like for, this is the Aotea Club. So the images that the Aotea Club have sent us are from my photo stock, which are straight from my phone or from cameras. So they are nice quality, high resolution images. So on every club page, there is a possibility to have up to 10 good high quality images. What we've also done, as I said, well, I've got you here, we have taken your service records and your club histories, and we've created a list and explanation of all the service projects that you've been involved in recently, and some of the social activities that we have gathered from reading your newsletters and your club histories that you run in your clubs. And on every club page, there is when your meeting time is, what the contact detail is for your club, and that is your club IWNZ email address, and the location of your club meeting, if it has a physical location. But if it's a personal home, we don't put that address on there. So I haven't asked permission from these clubs yet, but I'm going to show you a couple of others that are, we've made a page for every single club. So here is Auckland East. Now, they were quite good at sending in some images into the website, and they emailed them, not just in their newsletter, but they also emailed them in batches of about 5 into the media at IWNZ.org account. And that meant that their images are actually quite good, high quality. We've also then managed to take a comment and write a caption for every photo, so that people, and Ariel's trying to date them all for us so that you can see what year they happened in. Some other clubs have yet to have any photo gallery put on there because we haven't received their newsletters through the media or the president's account, and we haven't been able to cut and paste any photos there. So we are now going to be requesting for photos to be sent. So there are, here is another club. So Ashburton, some great photos that we have managed to gather from their newsletters. Now, can you have a look here at the quality of these images? Beautiful photos. I love this one here of the ladies at Morning Tea sharing the beanies that they have made. And I love the friendship and the concepts and the information of what's happened in from these meetings and activities. However, we have just copied and pasted those off a PDF. Can you see the difference in the quality from the high resolution image to a photo that we've had to manipulate in order to put into the gallery? So what we would really like to have is for clubs to find, we're trying to find a solution that's going to be easy for clubs to send us some really nice, crisp, you can see the difference with the nice, crisp, clear images from here in comparison to the ones that we are manually dragging out of your PDFs. So we've come up with a couple of ways that will help. The first one being, I'm going to just stop. The first solution that we're asking is, if you are currently just sending your newsletters, that's great. We do love to read your newsletters, but we're wondering whether the club editor who is making those newsletters could then also send an email to media@iwnz.org.nz, just with the photos and a small caption about what the photos show. So that's one way that they can send those. The other way is that just today, I have set up for every single club in the country a shared folder in Drive. And you've all been sent links to that. So the national team have access to be able to access any club folder in the country. Then the district editor and district chairman and district secretary have been given access to enter any of the club folders for their district. And then every club has just been sent an email with giving them access into their shared drive. Now, I'm going to be moving on shortly to show you how to use shared drives. And it's actually quite a simple task to do. The hardest part is to do the initial login to find out where it is and understand what the concept is. But by doing that and using Google Drive, it's a really, really quick and easy way to share large files without having to send emails. And quite often sending a large file in an email clogs up the system, and people then have the problems of their inboxes getting full and all sorts of other technical issues going on. So just in summary, when it comes to media, why we want your photos is because we want to be able to share them with not just other Inner Wheel members, but use them as our window to the world for visitors to our media sites. What we want you to share is club news, activities that your club is doing, service activities, but also the friendship activities and your social gatherings and activities. We don't want to just have bundles of knitting, which I know you're brilliant at doing, but I'd like to see who the knitter is. So maybe photos of people holding their knitting. I don't know whether you remember the Matter photo from last year that won one of the photos in the photo competition called the Bunny Girls. And they had knitted a whole series of little bunnies. And the photo of this group of ladies sitting and holding their bunnies in their hand with big smiles on their faces, you could tell instantly that those ladies just loved where they are and what they were doing. So I'd love to see photos of people actually enjoying themselves in their activities as well. Where we want to use those images are in the news section of the website. We are going to be using that as our storytelling section, so we can share the news of what activities are happening, so people that are visiting the website are able to see them clearly. We also want to then highlight them onto your club page, so we can associate the photos of your women having fun directly with your club page. Now, the reason why we're doing these with club pages is that when visitors are coming to the website, they're interested in finding out what Inner Wheel Club is in my area. Who am I going to be collaborating with, joining in with, taking part in activities with? What do these women look like and what are they doing? So it's an opportunity for you to have some really fun, vibrant photos there that look like you guys are actually enjoying what you're doing. And most of these photos that we are getting do show that. So it's not that I'm asking you to do anything different. I'm just asking you to share them and send them in. We want to have clear images, and we'd rather have the originals than the ones that we are extracting from PDFs. When do you send these in? Well, you send them in as soon as you can after an activity or an event has happened. Who is going to send these in? Well, it's up to you as a club to choose. So I suggest that it's probably your club editor, because they're the person that's creating your newsletter. So I would either give them the ability to log into your Google account for your club to be able to access the shared drive, or they can be added on as a person that has access to that shared drive. And I'll explain that shortly. Or it could be your club president, or it could be your club secretary. We don't really mind who sends the photos in, as long as we know the club name that they are associated with and a little bit about what is happening in the photos. And these will get sent to media@iwnz.org.nz. Or if they go into the shared folder, the media person who is Ashi will be able to pick them up directly and use them from there. So the how is they're either going to email the images with a comment, or they're going to put them and drag them and drop them into the shared drive. So I'm now going to move on to the second part of this session today, and that's talking about shared drives or using Google Drive, full stop, how a Google Drive gets used. So I'm going to share my screen again because I don't know whether you even, some people may not even know what Google Drive is. So when I'm logged in here on the Google account I've logged into here is training. And so when I go to the 9 dots in the corner, I click on Drive. And when I go into Google Drive, all of your club Google Drive now will have one shared folder in it. But I've put a couple of documents into this shared folder already. This drive already. So there are 3 things on Drive that you need to know about. The first one is My Drive. So think of My Drive as, if you're a Microsoft user, that's your OneDrive. So you're storing things in folders and files get stored into the folders. And those are your own personal documents. So you can put anything into My Drive that you want to, and that is just for your club or for your own personal documents. Then we have these things here called shared drives. Now, a shared drive is a drive or a folder that's been created by someone else, and that has been created by the organization, I should say, that's then been shared with you to have as a shared drive folder. So what each of your club accounts will have is this IWNZ Club Media Share. That is a shared drive folder that's been set up by IWNZ New Zealand for you. The third category that there is a drive called Shared with Me. Now, this is when someone a personal contact has shared a folder directly with you that hasn't been created in a shared drive folder. So it's a little bit complicated. I want to show you in this Shared with Me area, first of all, what my club has done as far as how to use the Google Drive in their club account. So with the Aotea Club, what we have done is that one of the members set up a folder, a folder within our drive for all our club information, and they called it Club Members. Now, what she did then was she shared that folder with every single club member. Now, we have email addresses all over the place, so you can see that it's shared from my external drive. Now, what Brenda set it up, and what Brenda did was she made we've got the Aotea Readers, which is for the reading club, and that's a folder that's shared with people that are going to be in the reading group. There's information that comes from the charities that we support. There's information that comes from district, from international inner wheel, so that's where in the pink newsletters are being put. Information that comes from Inner Wheel New Zealand, our meeting agendas or meeting information, our meeting minutes, and other club newsletters, so newsletters that have come from other clubs. There are other files and documents that are sitting in there as well. I'm going to show you how to set one of these up in a minute, but I just thought that it might be interesting for you to know that, so this was set up from the ayatia@iwnz.org account. Now, I, without permission today, and I'll revoke the sharing of it after this session, but it was shared to my personal Google Drive. And from there, I shared it onto the training drive so that you could see today one way that information can happen. So each of the members in Ayatia, so that's the 20 odd members that we have in the club, were then shared to have access to this. So if they go into their personal drive, they'll see under shared with me, the club members folder, and they can access any of those files. So now, instead of emailing everything out all the time, Brenda can just drop everything into those folders, and any of us can drop information into those folders. So what I'll be doing is, because I used to be the club editor and I have a lot of photos, and I will make a folder for archives. And in that, I'm going to drop all the old photos and old information that is there for any of the members to be able to access and to be able to get the photos and the history. So that's a bit about how it works, but now how do you get to that stage? So I'm going to give you a lesson now in how to create something on your drive. So I'm going to go back to my drive, which is my personal one. So just like anything, if you click on the section, it's going to take you. So these are the three sections you'll be flicking between: my drive, shared drive, and shared with me. But you start from working with my drive. I want to go to the new button, and under new, I can create a new folder. So I'm going to call this folder test, or test one step, okay, as for the 1st of September. So I've created a folder. If I open that folder, it's empty, right? So you can either, sort of like anything, you can drag and drop files there, or you go up to the new button and you go to file upload. Now that takes me back to my computer storage. So I happened to have this folder open because I knew it was going to take me somewhere. So I want to upload the photos from this morning. So I select those photos, and hey presto, they start uploading. So it's going to take a little while today. I've got a minute left waiting for these files to upload. So I've got 3 files coming into this folder. I'm just going to cancel 2 of them and see if it's faster. Here we go. So I cancelled the other 2 down the bottom because they were taking way too long. But if I want to restart it, then I press the little arrow on the side and it will load. So this is just like filing it on your OneDrive or whatever system you use for filing on your computer. I am going to stop that now. So I've put a file into my folder. If I go back to my drive, I now see I've got a test 1 step folder, and inside there is a document. I can drag documents from my computer if I wish to. Another way is to go drag and drop. How I did that was I clicked on the side of my computer and then I dragged and dropped. So you can see that went there, and it is loading down the bottom here. Okay, while that's still loading, I can be carrying on anyway. So I've created that folder now, and that is totally private. You'll see that this folder is now totally private because it is just black. If I wanted to, and I right click on the folder, I can go all these things I can do. I can rename it. I can change the color of my folder, make it pink. I can, if I right click, I can download it. So I can download that folder onto my own computer as well. It stays where it is. I don't drag it out of there and drop it onto my computer. I download it and it just downloads the files inside of it onto my system, not on Google anymore. But the other thing you can see is that's just a plain color. The one above it, which is photos to share test, you'll see that there's a little person sitting inside of it. So that's telling me that that folder is shared with someone. So I want to share this test first step with somebody. So I right click on it, I go share, and then it asks me to type in who I want to share it with. So I'll share it with president, admin. I'll share it with my personal account. So you can see I can share it with email addresses that are outside of the organization and within the organization. On the side here, I can give them access of how they are going to view it. So at the minute, just keep everyone as an editor. That's what's set. You don't need to worry about that. Then I press send. Now a message is going to come up. It says sharing outside the organization. M2 Atkinson at outlook.com, who is not in the Google Workspace organization that this item belongs to. So I do want to share it with her. So I just click share anyway. That's just a security thing, just to let us know that it's being shared from outside of the IWNZ. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just automatically comes up because that's how we've got our system set up. So now you'll see that the little person has appeared in my folder. So that is now going to show up in my president's drive, and it will show up in the admin one and in my personal one as well. It will send an email because I didn't unclick the notify, so you don't need to worry about that. If I wanted to change that and add someone else, I can go in here and I can add someone else. You will see where it says notify people, it comes up automatically underneath to notify. If you unclick that and you press share, it's not going to send an email into their inbox. So they'll just find it in their Google Drive. They won't know that it's been sent. Next time they go to their Google Drive, they'll find it. So that's using my drive to share. So these ones that are shared with me means that someone else has done that on their My Drive and they have shared a folder just like they have there. So if you go into your club accounts and you make a club folder, you can then share it with everybody in your club. So you go through, you can take the spreadsheet and you can copy all the email addresses of your club members and paste them into there, and you can send a link to every member in your club who will then be able to access that in their shared with me folder. So you'll see that here I've got my club members. It was shared by Michelle Atkinson. The test one was shared by President at IWNZ. So those people have created folders in their drive and they have shared them with training at IWNZ. So now I'm going to talk about shared drives. Now, shared drives, they're set usually by someone else. And it means that it's where a whole group of people specifically can go. They're just a bit bigger and a bit more to them than just using the My Drive ones. So in the IWNZ Club Media Share, you'll see under here that there are 9 people. 9 people have access to everything that's in that, which is under each of the districts. So I've got districts NZ 291, 294, 297, 298. Because I am in there, I can view the members, whereas on the shared one, I couldn't see them very clearly, but here I can view who has got access. And I can also view what kind of access they have. So this is where you can choose what sort of access people have. You can either be a content manager, which means that you have access to putting information in, taking information out, doing anything with it. I can't change these because I'm not the manager. I'm just a content manager. If I was a manager, I'm able to choose the people that can go into that, and I can give them the rights of what they are able to do. So some people only have viewing rights. All they can do is go in and they can look at the files in that folder. They can't take them out. They can't edit them. They can't muck things up, basically. So, you know, you want to put some files in, and you just want to be sure that somebody who doesn't know what they're doing isn't going to come along. Instead of downloading, they're just cutting and pasting them straight out of the folder. So that's where you just give people viewing access if they don't need them for anything else. So under each of the district folders, I have set them up so that the district team, the district exec members, the district editor, secretary, and chairman have access to all of the clubs. And then for each club, I've set it up so that only the club has access to that. So this is where, if you are in Aotea, when you go to my shared drives, you're just going to see access to Aotea, and it's going to be empty at the moment. Or if you are in Dunedin South, you're going to just have Dunedin South, and it's going to be empty. So if you want to start putting photos into there, or Word documents, any files, you can then go to New. You can upload a whole folder. So if you upload a folder, it takes you to any of these folders, and you can upload the whole folder. I'm not going to do, and you click upload. I'm not going to do that because that takes a long time. But if I go to New and click on File Upload, I'm not going to use one of those ones. I will just go here, and I can upload, it's a large photo as well. I can upload just a photo, and it's just like a file. One file just gets uploaded. So it's sitting there as a file. So there's a photo that's been put in there. If you want to, within that, create folders, so I go New, Folder, and so I can do photos of September 21. So these might be photos that have happened in September. So I can open that, and then I can upload New File, and I will upload the photo into there. So you've still got, so this is sitting here under the umbrella of Inner Wheel New Zealand in a shared folder, shared drive, but you as a club have got complete access to organize your files within it. This is where the media team will go in, they will check the folders and see, right, we'll go into Aotea, there's some great photos there, right, we want to download that photo and we'll put it onto the website. So the club website pages are going to be managed by the administrator, who is going to be able to do the hard work and keep the page up to date. But in order to keep the page up to date with photos and information, all we are asking is that clubs send and drop their photos either into shared drive, as I've shown you here today, or by email. And we would probably then go and drop them into your shared drive so that they're stored there, and you can see what we are storing as far as your club data is concerned. So that is all about using Google Drive. It's I think it will be a really useful tool for most of you once you get used to it. I'm going to stop just for one moment and answer a couple of these questions that have come in. It says, is there any restrictions on the drives? So what I'm assuming what that means, Kathy, is that the restrictions on the size of the drive. We have got masses of storage facilities on the IWNZ New Zealand accounts, so you don't need to worry about filling that up. I think we've used about 0.2% of what we have available, and we've been using those accounts for over a year now, and we've been storing a lot of photos and a lot of activities on there. So don't worry about that capacity. Is there a size for the photo that is best used? That's come from, I think, Penelope. The higher the better, because we may use it in publicity and print publicity. So different types of media require different size images. The higher the resolution you can send in, the better, in case we were to send that to magazines or to the higher the resolution, the better, in case we were going to send that to magazines or to print media. But on the website, we would then reduce the size of it so that it is useful for there. We can reduce, but we can't increase the size of images. From Mary, is there a limit to the amount of information or photos that can be put onto my drive and shared drives? There is, but you won't break that limit at this stage, Mary. So just put on as much information as you can. From Gaynor, can we scan old photos and put them in Drive? Yes, you may. That would be wonderful if you could. In fact, we were talking at the NGB meeting just the other weekend before we went into lockdown that we're going to look at scanning a lot of old IWNZ New Zealand photos and storing them in the archives electronically as well. So that would be a great task for someone that's in lockdown. That might be something, you know, interesting to get the old photo albums out and do while you're waiting. From Mary, is the intent that we put our documents, forms, photos on here so that we have it for the future? What is the intent of its use? Okay. The use of the media submission ones is for IWNZ New Zealand use for media, for us to use on news and for sharing with on the platforms through social media and through the website. Your individual accounts, so when you go to your club account, and I keep using Aotea because that's the club I'm in, and I know I'm not going to offend anyone by using that account. Okay, so if I was to go to the Aotea and I was to set up all my folders in there and put all my archives and all the club information from years back, that is purely that will sit in my drive, and the only people that can access that are the people that you share it with. So if it is sitting in my drive in your account, that is totally secure for your club. And you can choose who you share that with. We at IWNZ New Zealand do not want to know what you've got sitting in your club drives. We don't need access to that. That is purely your club's records and for you to store and keep however you like. What some of the clubs that have been celebrating big milestone birthdays this year are finding is that when a club's been going for 50 years, and I know in a district that's been going for 50 years, what ends up happening is that a lot of people have a tendency of not wanting to throw anything out. And so when your club changes over from year to year, your club treasurer or your club secretary ends up walking home with suitcases and boxes of information that get passed from person to person. We're trying to eliminate that. By the use of these accounts and using Google Drive to scan or send or put everything in electronic form and store it in those, you can make files for each year. You can do a file for archives. You can store 50 or 100 years worth of history online. And then when it comes time for the next secretary to take over office, she's not having to bring a truck to the meeting to take everything home at the end of the night after changeover, because all you will do is just make sure that she's able to log into the account and it's all sitting there. Now, I'm not saying there are some things you will want to keep hold of as far as, souvenirs and things, but we can eliminate a lot of paperwork by actually storing it all on the cloud and through the drives. So that's what the intent is. The intent is always there for you as clubs to be able to use these as your safe, secure electronic filing system, so that you're not having to sit on mountains of paperwork and hand them over from person to person, and things get lost that way as well. So hopefully that will help. I think I've already answered this question about what resolution of the photos do you need. Can we help by reducing them for you? As I just said before, just send the originals and we can do the reducing. Someone here says, just thinking about privacy permissions, now that photos will be available for view beyond our club newsletters, will we need to redo our member authorization for sharing of photos we take at club events? So that's something you should be discussing with your members each year as well, is that they always have been. So newsletters all the way through have always been on the website. We've just chosen in the last 6 months not to put them up on the website, and instead we are highlighting the photos from there. So you always have been asked to get the permission done. Some clubs, they do it just verbally. So I know within our club, we have one girl in the club who is not able to have her photo shown in public for various security reasons. So she just makes sure that she is not in a photo, and she lets us know this does not go on social media, this does not go on the website. So we now know not to include her in those photos and not to push it. So that's a conversation you should be having with your clubs, and letting people know that these are what's going to happen. So like this morning when I did the big group photo, I said, I'm taking a photo now, and those that didn't want to disappeared out of shot. But I think everybody stayed in them anyway. Someone says, I take my photos on my iPhone. Is this good enough? Yes. I use my phone for nearly all my photos. So yes, it is good enough, unless you've changed the setting on your photo to reduce it to a really low image. But generally, if you've kept it at standard settings, then it'll be fine. Question from Carolyn: when you put on the Inner Wheel site, do we need to ask permission of those in the photos? So that
Ariel popping in. I've just given you all permission to unmute yourself if you have a question right now. So if you do have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask Michelle.
Anyone? Okay, that's good. I think I've covered everything. So that's all about media and the use of Google Drive. Now I'm going to do a very quick